Hi everyone. So in this session, we are going to be looking at involvement in the local church, the why you should do it and the how you should do it. Okay, so if we start off with why, firstly, it nurtures your faith, right? So being part of a church community means that you are going to go to a place where hopefully you're going to be spiritually growing, right? Because it's going to be providing you with a place to learn and to be discipled, especially if you come on a Sunday and you're there for the word, and if you're attending a Bible study during the week or a home cell where someone gets to speak and just expand on something of God, it's going to be adding to your walk with Jesus. Okay, so it's going to be nurturing your faith. Then another thing it does is it provides you with accountability. So if we look at the church, you're going to be in this community of people where we all have the same goal to do the things that God has asked us to do. And so we all have to live to the same standard, right? Now, none of us like to be told what to do or what not to do. But it's absolutely essential that in our walk with God, that we keep each other accountable, that we make sure that each one of us is doing that thing that we need to do. So if you're looking at it from a different perspective, if you're not going to church, but you're spending a lot of time with worldly friends, then all of a sudden you start to maybe think like them or behave like them possibly. If you're around people that constantly swear, your defenses go down. You get desensitized to the swearing, right? So it almost becomes acceptable to a level because it's there all the time. It's just what they do. But if it gets to a point where it starts to be acceptable to the point where you start to behave the same way, then they are having a greater influence over you than they ought to. But if you are plugged into a church and you're getting what you need to get from the church, then you should be getting in a bunch of help in terms of how to overcome the things that we shouldn't be doing, right? How to walk in the way that we should be walking. And that should hold you more accountable so that when you go out into the world, you don't behave like the world, like they do, but you behave the way that Jesus would want you to behave, right? So accountability, very, very needed in our walk so that we make sure we do the right thing. I encourage you to fight sin. We are all against sin. We are all facing our own battles. We are all facing our own temptation, but we all want to come to Jesus with clean hands and a pure heart. So we are there to be with one another, to help one another rise up against that. The teachings we get in the church are supposed to encourage our faith and help us get equipped to know how to flee from sin, how to walk righteously. So it's absolutely imperative that you are plugged into a church. Okay. It fulfills a need for belonging, right? You were created for a relationship, and we are created for relationship not only with God, but with one another as well. So I've heard people say that coming to church is like coming to a second home, right? So you live with your family at home, and then when you go to church on a Sunday, you see your other family, your extended family. So it's another place of belonging, especially for people who maybe don't live with anyone, that are alone in the world in a sense. To come to church would be where they would be with other brothers and sisters and feel that sense of community, that sense of belonging that makes them feel like, hey, I am loved and I love these people, right? Very important, because that's what God intended for us, right? We are not supposed to be alone. It offers mutual support. Okay, so if we look at support, like maybe you've gone through something rough or you're going through something rough. Being part of a church community means that when you are down in the hospital, maybe your church members come to visit you. When you are home and you aren't feeling well, maybe they come and they bring you a meal so you don't have to cook. Or they've gone to do your grocery shopping because you couldn't get out to do it yourself because maybe you've injured your foot. There's practical ways that we can help one another, that we should help one another, or just spiritual ways as well. So maybe you've gone through something and you just really need prayer, right? Then you have all these people that are ready to come and pray for you and pray with you to overcome the battle that you're facing. So speaking from personal experience, The beginning of this year, my son was in hospital for 3 weeks. And for every day of those 3 weeks, I didn't cook one meal. Either my husband or myself was in hospital constantly just trying to make things work. And the church stood around us and they provided not just prayer support, but they provided a meal so that we didn't have to think about doing any of that ourselves. The food was a great help, but if I'm being honest, the prayer support was the bigger help because our emotions were through the roof. It was up and down, up and down. We were tired and we were very emotional on every level. And spiritually, just having that prayer support gave us the guts to trust and believe more and to pray more and to really feel like God was going to come through. So that support meant the world to us. It made the difference for us, and it can make the difference for you too. And that's why you should be part of a local church, this local church. Okay. It also helps you to find your purpose. Okay, so if you are struggling to understand what it is that God has made you to do, then you need to be able to be in the church and kind of just see what there is to do to begin with, right? To take the word in, to understand the stuff that God has kind of set before us, and then to start asking God or asking the leadership to pray with you and stuff to see where it is you can find yourself plugged into, what it is you were made to do, and then start doing it, right? It also supports shared resources. So you can share your talents and your resources with the church, and in so doing, fulfill a thing in you to be able to do something for God's kingdom, but also to help the church in itself. Okay, so it fulfills God's plan. Now you must understand that it's not just a place for us to come and be happy and just to go and do things, but God has required us to meet together as a church, right? To be part of the body, because we are a body. And so to behave like a body, we must be together, right? And we must share things with one another. And as the body, as we fulfill God's plan, we unite to disciple others and to walk with one another. Okay, so now let's take a look at how you can get involved. Firstly, you must attend church regularly, okay? So I'm not just talking about just church on a Sunday, but it's great. Every Sunday you're there, fantastic. But I'm asking for even more because I'm going to be cheeky that way. There's prayer during the week. There's home groups that meet. There's youth if you are of a youth age, or if you are wanting to be a leader of a youth group. There's something you can do during the week as well, right? Bible studies, they are happening as well, either on a Thursday night or on a Sunday evening. We have things happening at House of the Lord, right? But now the thing is, if you had to look at, let's say, going to gym, and you went to gym once a month, how would it affect your body? How much would it actually affect change in your circumstance? My guess would be not so much. But if you went, let's say, twice or 3 times a week, you would start to see results, right? You would feel the change. You would see the difference because of the commitment to the program. Likewise with the church. The more committed you are to the things of the church, to go into the stuff that it has available to you, the more it's going to be able to impact you, the more it's going to be able to affect you and to change you for the better if you let it, right? So, not just attending regularly, joining the small groups. I've mentioned some of them and stuff, but if you're looking at the groups that House of the Lord provides and you're like, that doesn't really fit me, right? I don't really fit in this one. I don't really fit in that one. Or maybe it's just like, I can't come to that time slot. I can't come on that day because you have other things happening. That's also fair. Maybe that's when you go and you talk to the pastor and you're like, listen, I want to start my own home group at this time on this day for these people. And you begin something. Just because something doesn't exist that fits you right now doesn't mean it can't exist. Maybe the church is waiting for you to come and start something that can be something that will bless more than just you, but others who are also waiting for a group that you could lead, right? So don't look at something and say, there's nothing for me here. Look at something and be like, okay, maybe I can bring something here, right? Bring yourself to the party. Now we're going to the next one, which is like volunteer your time, right? I think we covered a little bit there, but offer to help with church functions. There's children's ministry, there's hospitality. You could set up for events when we have events, you know, there's always something that you could be doing. You could literally just do anything that needs doing in the church to volunteer your time. You could be part of the music ministry, the sound team, anything is possible. But now, if we look at this whole volunteering of our time, volunteering of ourselves, really, if we look at Jesus, he was the greatest model. Where he led, he served, right? And so if we want to be like Jesus, then we must serve. It is something he calls us to do and something he showed us how to do, right? There's always work to be done in the church. There's never a lack of work. There's always a lack of hands. But adding your hands into the mix will make a big difference. When we do that, not only does the thing we offer at the end look better, but it also means that everybody involved had a burden lifted because there were extra hands to do it. And then we all feel better at the end of the day. And I believe we're all blessed of God for what we have done for his kingdom. Okay, what else can you do? You can engage with others, okay? So take the time to initiate conversation with people, to build relationship, to make connections with one another. In doing this, not only do we, I want to say, like, do this whole thing where we have this body, where we are unified, but now I've heard your problem, you've heard my problem. I can pray for you, you can pray for me, or I can speak into your life, or you can speak into mine. And it becomes this thing where it's not just, oh, we share each other's burdens in terms of doing the same work, but now we share each other's burdens of what heartache I might be feeling, what troubles I might be going through, and you can join me now to alleviate some of that, or just pray with me because now we have spoken. It's not just this, I see people on a Sunday, but I don't speak to them at all kind of thing. No, we have relationship. And so because we have relationship, we can trust each other with our walk and where we are and make each other stronger, right? Serve the church. I think for a lot of us, we always expect the church to serve us. The church must do this for me, or the pastor must do this for me, the leaders must do this for me. But go into this thinking, what can I do for the church? Because again, at the end of the day, this is about our walk with Jesus, right? And he has placed something in us to do. What is that thing? We have to offer it up, and then we have to do this thing. We are not the ones that are meant to be served. We are the ones meant to serve others, right? So think about that. There are so many things that maybe could be quite intimidating. Let's say if I looked at the worship team and be like, oh, you could join the worship team. Maybe you're not musical. Maybe if I said, okay, you could be on the media team, and you're like, oh, you're not technical in any kind of way, and it's not really your thing. There's things that might sound a bit scary, but at the same time, there's also things that, you know, like you could see the chairs are a bit skew. You can straighten them up. You could see someone's dropped some rubbish. You could pick it up. You can start small if you want to, but just be a part of the process. Be a part of the program. Make sure that you are adding something to what's happening there. Greet people as they come in. You'll never know how much your hello can mean to someone who's going through a hard time, right? Just encouragement of, hey, it's so good to see you here today. Maybe they weren't thinking of coming at all, and now you've just made it better for them. Okay, so there's something you can do. Ask church leadership how to start. Maybe you don't know where your giftings lie. Maybe the first thing you need to do is maybe do a giftings questionnaire, which you could do. Or if you think you might know where to go, start testing the waters. Start observing different ministries and seeing, oh, maybe I could slot in here, or maybe I shouldn't slot in there. But until you start actively seeking, it's hard for you to actively find anything, right? And sometimes something sounds like such a good idea, and then practically it just doesn't work. But until you begin, it's hard to find your actual place. And the pastor might actually have ideas for you as well, because as leadership, we're always looking to find someone to help, because we always need the help. And sometimes we see like-minded people for certain ministries, and sometimes we have ideas for people, and we just need them to start saying yes. So if you're ready, then just approach the pastor and then see if he can put you somewhere, or if you have an idea of where to go, just start there. At House of the Lord, we have a dynamic children's church. We have prayer meetings, we have Friday chapel, we have the youth group, we have hospitality, we have the worship team, the media, the sound, and we have intercessory team. We have things that are already available. And like I said, if there's something that you could add, just ask the pastor, right? I forgot to mention the Bible studies. We have the Bible studies as well. Ask the pastor, see where you can get involved, see what you could do, and then just begin. If you feel this is your home, then get comfortable, take your shoes off, pull up your sleeves, and get to work. For it is the work of all believers to be involved in the church, right? You are an important part of God's plan for maintaining the vitality of the church. He has given you a spiritual gift to employ for the role that you need to be playing. So please get involved and have fun, because I absolutely believed that if you are doing the thing that God has made you to do, you will feel the joy that comes with it. There might be pain in the process as well, because when you love something, it can also hurt sometimes. But I've always described me being in ministry as me being able to breathe, because I know God's called me to ministry, and I've had a season where I wasn't ministering and I didn't feel the same. And so you need to find the thing that makes your heart go, yes, I'm doing the thing God's called me to do. And then you need to do it. Thank you.